today's lesson is really about color grading with gradient map tool and dodging and burning with a layer. Okay, so I'm just going to use one of the examples to show you how to do it, but you can apply the same logic to these other two images. Okay, so let's bring up this image here. Okay, so first of all, as we mentioned in class, when you get an image, the first thing you have to evaluate is it underexposed or overexposed? Okay, so the first thing you do. So for here, this picture is slightly underexposed. So I generally like to use a curve in for almost most of the edit. So I'm going to bring this range closer in. So as you know from this histogram, there is no information around here, right? So I'm going to start bringing it in maybe here a little. Okay, now that I'm happy with it and it's lightened up, we notice there is a slight orange tone to it. Now, now is a matter of, what did you shoot in person, and did you shoot this image with a orange light? That's why there's an orange cast. Perhaps it's a sweater that's giving off the cast. And is he actually this color, right? So those are a few things you have to ask yourself. So for this image, right, we know there's a noticeable color cast. So now we're looking at efficient ways to edit something. So for this image, the most efficient way is actually instead of putting a color filter to cancel out the color. So if it's orange, we can put a blue filter to cancel it out. Or if it's blue, we put an orange, etc. Okay, so for this image, what we can do is instead of putting a filter and a gradient map, we're going to do it all at once. So I'm going to bring up the gradient map. The property should show up. If you don't have the property undocked like mine here, it's probably docked somewhere up here or below. Okay, so double click on this range here, this color range here, and you will have a bunch of colors that comes up. So I created a lot of my own, so you probably don't have that, but you do have one of these colors here. So click onto the blue folder and basically select any color as a reference, right? Because we're going to modify it. Okay. So I'm selecting blue 29 just to start, and I really want the dark area of his face, which is over here, to be closer to this dark color black, because I don't notice any color cast necessarily around here, but I do notice like a lot of color cast around here in the midtones. So I'm going to select the highlight area and select the light blue just to cancel off that orange cast, and then click on this finger icon shows up. Click on it next to the middle line location over here, and I'll put 50% so I know right now it's right in the middle, and I'm telling them this bar here that right in the middle is this color, which I don't know. So I want that color to be closer to midtones. So somewhere here is fine. So now you have shadows, midtones, and the highlights. Okay, so I'm going to click OK. And then right here, please remember that this is called the blend mode. So I still notice a lot of students are confused when I refer to blend mode. So this is blend mode. We're going to select the blend mode. We're going to select overlay. Okay, so you notice that suddenly the color got really intense. Bring that slightly down. Now, it still looks a bit yellow to me, not quite right, so I'm going to change that a little bit more. Oops, cancel that. Double click. right here, I'm going to bring down the scale to maybe more like a turquoise. You see the color start shifting? So this is kind of the color where closer to what I saw. Okay, so I'm happy with that color. Generally, you just want the color cast to be removed. I don't like this color as well, so I'm going to bring it back to a blue. So just for color's sake, do you notice that something turned really, really red? So what we want to do is bring it to blue, a light blue, somewhere around there. So somewhere around there. Okay, so play with it yourself a little more. So, but I'm just trying to make it a really short demonstration. Okay. So to say you like this color, but I personally don't like it, I have a blue that I already created, which is this one here, that I prefer, right? So I'm going to select that one instead. So this is the color that is closer matching to his skin tone. Okay. So the other thing is, if you notice the side's really dark, there's a few things we can do. We can go to the grid and just lighten that up a bit, right? Bring that out a little so it's not that black. So what I'm just doing is just bringing the shadow, making the shadow just a bit lighter. Okay, so the other thing here you can play with this is this area. We're going to sample this area here. So I click on it to show that this one here that's dark, and I'm just going to lift that up so it doesn't do that. So I want to just sample this, and then I'm going to lock this here so it doesn't, this area doesn't move. And I just like lift that just slightly, just like that. Okay, actually I don't like it. So I actually would prefer just duplicating that layer. Okay, and if you notice something went too bright, so what I'm going to do is Command-I to inverse that layer. And in a mask, I'm just going to reveal this side a little bit. Okay, so making sure your brush stroke is hardness is 0, so smooth. And I'm just going to cover this side just a bit. Okay, so I'm going to do that. And then bring the opacity up a little, down a little. So you notice it's just a slight difference, right? Because we actually want, I like that mysterious look, one side's better than another. So I just don't want to do too much, so I'm just going to bring it down to 30%. And then over here, remember naming your files properly with name curves and left side of face. Okay. So I think he looks beautiful now, but I just want to show you an example. If I'm not going to use that, I can also use dodge and burn. Okay, so we're going to go up to layers, new layers, and then a layer dodge and burn, and the gray color, and then overlay, Make sure you check this area here, and then I'm going to make 50% opacity. So you see 50% opacity, this is overlay. Okay, now we can go and dodge and burn. Okay, dodge is to make it lighter and burn is to make it darker. And then we're going to use dodge to maybe just dodge this high area. Exposure here, I always start with 10% at a time, so I don't overdo it. Okay. I want some skin color here. Maybe a little lighter here. So that's 10%. If you stroke it over again, it's 20%. So just remember that. Okay. So I think I'm happy with that. Maybe a little lighter over here. So if you notice, before and after, just a slight shift around the eye. Just that area. Okay, so that's it. So dodge and burn in that area. Or you can do what I did also is the curves. Okay, just very slight modification. Use a curve to fix the image overexposed. But more importantly, I want you guys to get used to using gradient map to map the proper skin tone on a person. See the difference between it? That's before mapping the color, and that's after mapping. You see the skin tone, so you really need to remember how a person looks like and what their skin color is, because we do not want to put a skin color onto a person that's not the right skin color. So skin color is very, very important when it comes to editing and editing portraits, right? Okay. So apply the same logic with all the other two images. First, analyze what's wrong with image, color balance, is it under or overexposed, fix all that, and then apply a gradient map to fix the skin tone. Okay? See you in class.